On today's show, Laura Heywood interviews
Obie, Drama Desk, Lambda, and Tony Award winner John Cameron Mitchell. Welcome to Laura Heywood Interviews. I'm Laura Heywood. There are very few artists, especially in the commercial theater space, who have invented their own aesthetic and redefined their own art form. My guest today did just that when he created the groundbreaking, heartbreaking, and ultimately bank-breaking hit musical Hedwig and the Angry Inch in 1998, the musical that went on to win the Tony for its revival in 2014. John Cameron Mitchell has done it again with Anthem, Homunculus, a new musical podcast that's also a podcast musical, a story told through language and song in the first person by Kian, an artist with a brain tumor, on, quote, the world's first streaming crowdfunding app. I've heard the first 3 episodes and I was hooked from the opening words. I listen to most podcasts on double speed, but I slowed this one down specifically so I could savor the beautiful, layered, poetic language and the gorgeous songs. Anthem Homunculus is a show in the long tradition of radio plays with modern and even futuristic technology at the core of its storytelling. It feels ancient and cutting edge, and I cannot recommend it more highly. I'm also just beside myself to be in the same room with John Cameron Mitchell. This is the 4th time in my life I can say that, as I saw him twice as Hedwig on Broadway, and once way back in 1992 when, as a 13-year-old, I saw him as Dickon in The Secret Garden. Nerves are always part of my process, and today I'm just leaning into it because I have wanted to interview John Cameron Mitchell for just about ever. I couldn't be more thrilled to have him here in honor of this gorgeous new soundscape, the podcast Anthem Homunculus, available only on Luminary. Welcome, John Cameron Mitchell.
Well, thank you. God, how do I measure up?
Well, you've already measured up. You have to say 0 more words because you've already created such incredible, life-changing art.
Well, I'm leaving then.
Okay, great. Bye. Thanks for being here. No, listen, we have to tell people about this incredible project. You've described it as an alternative autobiographical piece. What does that mean?
Well, there was a moment actually where I was like, do I write an autobiography or do I make this, which is perhaps less lonely? And, you know, Hedwig wasn't my story, but it was my feelings.
Right.
And as an actor, you know, we treasure the times when we get to play someone else with a very different point of view or background to illuminate something about ourselves and also illuminate the play, of course, too, or the piece. So, in a way, autofiction, which I think is the modern term for roman à clef or autobiographical, alternative autobiography. But I imagined a character that was perhaps me if I'd never left my small town. So that's the alternative side. Like, what would have happened if he hadn't got married that one time or had the kid or came out of the closet or left town or stayed in town instead of leaving? What would have happened? Would I be the same person? And this is a kind of apocalyptic story of someone who's facing their end. And you know, knock wood, I'm not quite yet. We're all facing our ends, but not in this precipitous way that Kian is with a brain tumor. He's out of insurance. He's a perfect example of the people who fell through the cracks. And there's a lot of them in America, and our priorities are mixed up right now. And the fact that people have to crowdfund their health care is just beyond me.
I know, me too.
It's just
It feels like the Dark Ages.
unconscionable. It really does. Though this is less about the health system as someone whose life is flashing before his eyes and before our ears.
I love when you say that.
So he's trying to find out, as we all do near the end, you know, what went wrong, what went right, what is going on, what is God, what is, you know, what is there to live for?
What is the afterlife?
What is the afterlife? And he has these hallucinations because of the tumor, which gives him seizures, and he visits the afterlife in a kind of zany Little Prince-like afterlife where everyone has their own planet.
I totally thought of the Little Prince because I don't know what we're allowed to give away as spoilers.
Anything's fine.
But episodes 3 and 4 are available now through the Luminary app, and it's totally worth the $7.99 a month. And you can get a free month, so you can listen to the whole thing before they start charging you. But they have so much other great content.
Yeah, so. Luminary is a visionary group. They want to make sure we, you know, podcasts are very cheap, so. budget sometimes limits content.
Right.
And in our case, it was an expensive one because we have 40 actors, 40 pieces of music.
Yeah, and these are not like
very dense.
You're like off the street, amateur actors either.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like when you have Glenn Close and Patti LuPone
Right.
and Cynthia Erivo, like
Yeah, we have 6 Tony winners. We have Dennis O'Hare, Laurie Anderson, Marion Cotillard.
yeah.
All of these are people I knew, one capacity or another, who were thrilled to do something that they didn't have to shave for.
Are you talking about Patti LuPone?
How dare you?
I'm just kidding. I think she'd appreciate the
I
reference.
love Patti.
I do too.
We were touring together weirdly in the same towns in Australia this last summer. It was a blast. But we have this incredible cast partially because we only need a certain amount of time with them for a podcast, so they can do a whole season in 4 days.
Right.
You know?
And you don't need them necessarily in the room together with each other, even if they're
Right.
doing a scene together.
I try to do that if it's a dramatic scene because, the spontaneity that happens. But there were times where I texted Patti LuPone in London saying, we need a line, put a towel over your head and say fuck you into a mic and text it to me. And we'd drop it in the mix and it would work.
She plays your aunt, who's based on a real aunt you have, right?
I have a real wonderful aunt who's a nun and is my favorite relative and kind of a surrogate mom, super liberal nun in Chicago who I love and whose email signature says the ultimate pro-life gesture is care of the earth.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah, she's cool. And Glenn Close plays my mom, who was very religious, painter and anti-abortion activist. And Glenn sings a punk song, Nailed to a Cross.
Wow.
In a hallucination.
We should mention that the album is available through Ghostlight Records.
Yes, Ghostlight, who's very good at their theater documentation,
Absolutely.
is putting out a 30-song album.
And are the songs going to be released as the episodes are released? Because
Yes.
I don't want to listen to anything ahead of the episodes I've heard.
Well,
'cause
there's
I feel
5 out now,
Yeah.
which are 2 signature songs and then the ones from the first episodes. And then every week we release a few more from that episode. Apple doesn't let you do that. They have a limit, at least 15. No more than 15 can come out before the final album comes out, but we've made it work. So we're trying to do a lot of things that haven't been done. We're trying to do a full-fledged, dense TV series musical in an audio space. Topic Studios, which financed it, they do things like Missing Richard Simmons, and they did Spotlight and Leave No Trace. Losers on Netflix are a visionary company as well that spent more than anyone else would because they saw a future in audio. Strangely, as you know, people are gravitating towards it. I think maybe partially because they're overwhelmed with screens and, all senses being engaged. And it's kind of relaxing just to have one engaged.
or to have something that will keep your audio engagement while you're doing things with your hands that don't require a lot of mental energy.
Yes.
I love listening to podcasts when I'm doing dishes, for example, when I'm on the subway or when I'm walking.
Cleaning.
Exactly. Things that don't, I think we are so used to having all of our senses stimulated that when audio isn't, it feels lonely.
Yeah. The danger is, I don't recommend listening to this while you're texting or emailing or doing something like that.
But while driving, maybe.
Driving.
You could listen while driving.
Traveling, biking, maybe exercising. But because it's so dense sonically, we do recommend really good, headphones or speakers.
Yeah, definitely.
The first couple of episodes are more expositional. It kicks in by for me, the third, really starts to rev up. So, you need a touch of patience, but it's something that I'm even more proud of than Hedwig. It's like maybe it's because it's dealing with my own life and stuff, but it's something that is a true affair of the heart. And we wrote it, Brian Weller, my composer, and I wrote it for television first, and everybody said no. They couldn't see it. It was too weird. if I brought them Hedwig now, they'd say no too,
Yeah.
sadly, because it doesn't fit.
Well, this has some similarities to Hedwig,
Yeah.
in that kind of indescribable way where I'm like, I recognize it
Yeah.
as you. It's
Talking
got
to
you
the
in it.
audience, the sense of humor.
Yeah. Well, and there's even a little reference to Hedwig in it.
Yes, my character lives in Junction City, Kansas, where I lived and where Hedwig lived, in a trailer that is implied belonged to her.
Well, it still spits up blonde wig hair.
Yeah,
I
it
believe
comes
is
out of the
reference.
drain. But my character doesn't know who she is. But it's just a little wink to the fact that it is part of me, and it's part of my autobiography. I mean, it's another character played by Justin Vivian Bond says, "You can't write fiction. Fiction is suspect nowadays. It's over. You can't write a character whose life you haven't lived, no matter how imaginary. So autobiography is all that's left."
Yeah.
And my character panics and does that. He lets go of his fictional stuff and starts writing, in effect, his autobiography, which a lot of what he's presenting in his telethon, in a Jerry Lewis-like way, is monologue stories and songs from his life.
So this storytelling, this podcast, is both his telethon that he's doing through a crowdfunding live streaming app, which,
Yeah.
by the way, does that exist?
It doesn't. I invented Grindr in the film Short Bus. I called it Yenta
Oh my gosh.
because it was pre-iPhone. I was like, there's GPS technology. There's going to be a dating app. And I
Well,
was
you
like,
better start this before somebody
I
hears
know.
it
And now I've
claims it.
created a telethon app called InTelethon. And
I was ready to donate to Kian, even though I knew it was you. Like that's within the first musical number. I was like, oh my god,
help,
take all my money.
it is weird they don't have one yet.
Yeah,
I
but they're
mean,
going to. Someone's going to hear this, and they're going to copyright it.
No. Well, you have to patent it because back when I did the Yenta/Grindr thing, my lawyer's like, you can't just copyright an idea. You have to
Yeah, you have to
patent
actually
it.
make it. But you know people. I mean, look, if you've got Patti LuPone and Glenn Close in your phone, I'm sure you know some tech people too.
I need a startup person. Maybe someone who's listening can
Maybe
contact
so.
me on Instagram.
Maybe so. By the way, this is going to we've got people listening live now, and then we will also have people. So
the podcast?
because we're a paywall service too, DNR
you are?
Studios. Yeah. So for the first week, it's only available to subscribers
I
who
see.
can actually listen live and then have it exclusively on demand for the first week.
Mm-hmm.
And then on May 8th, it will be free on the podcast version. And I always like to remind people who get it for free that we're only able to do it because of the paying subscribers. So
Yes, and that's how Luminary is working. We're
Right.
able to make this ambitious thing because it's behind a subscription wall. And I know people are asked to subscribe to everything now, Spotify to Netflix to whatever. And you have to make your decisions. But there's such good content on Luminary that I really recommend.
I always like to say, we'll give it away. Well, I'll give you my show for free,
Yeah.
Laura Heywood Interviews. I'll give it to you for free, and then maybe you can make a pledge to me
Yes.
as a reciprocal gift.
Yeah, other
that-
people do Patreon.
Yeah, it's similar to that.
Which is, think of it as you're promoting your favorite people, and I would do that. There's a lot of interesting talk shows too. Conan O'Brien, Lena Dunham, Russell Brand, Trevor Noah,
All on Luminary.
all Luminary. The guy who did Slow Burn is doing another one.
And they all come with the same subscription, right? You don't have to
Yeah.
pay $7.99 for each show. It's just $7.99 for the service.
For everything. It's like Netflix. But what's different from Netflix is the app serves as a clearinghouse for all podcasts as well.
That's great. So that means you could probably listen to Laura Heywood Interviews through
Yes,
that app.
and it's better than the iPhone app. It's more intuitive. It's a good catch-all whether you subscribe or not.
Well, I downloaded it. That's where I've listened to the first
Cool.
few episodes of Homunculus, which I was calling Homunculus until I heard you say it as Kian.
I like homunculus. Well, homunculus is a great word that I always imagined Glenda Jackson as someone using as an insult. You homunculus.
What does it literally mean?
It literally means little man.
Oh.
So it's like, you little tiny man. But
I mean, she is around these days.
She's
Maybe
here.
you got to call her to be
I
an
know I
episode
was in the
for
front
season
row
2.
during King Lear on Broadway. She spat at me.
That's my dream. I always say I'm not sitting close enough unless I can see the wig netting and the spit lands directly on
Right,
my
the
face.
Sweat is flying. I'm seeing a lot of good things this season, but Oklahoma especially.
Oh my gosh, I know.
But the homunculus is also the term that the alchemists used when they were creating their first human. When they created their first human, they could only make a little person, so it was a homunculus.
A tiny little man.
Yeah. And it's also the name of a kind of tumor that he has.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love that you have built in this long-form storytelling where there's automatically a question, because I feel like I want to listen to find out. You at the very beginning, you say, I'm going to stay on the air, or Kian says, I'm going to stay on the air either till I make enough money to have this tumor removed or until I die. Yeah. And I feel like having that built-in suspense, which one is it going to be? Yeah. How is it going to end? Is it going to end with a surgery? Is it going to end with like dead air? I don't know. And I can't wait to find out.
I wrote one ending, and then it's 9 months later, rewrote it, and I purposely didn't record the last scene because I didn't know how it was going to end.
Interesting. Well, don't tell me. Obviously,
okay.
I am hoping that there will be a life after the last episode, just because I already want a season 2, but like maybe season 2 could be like something else on that same crowdfunding app?
Well, our goal is that each season is a completely different musical written by different people.
Interesting.
So it's a clearinghouse.
And you'll be what, executive producer?
Yeah.
So who have you asked?
Well, we thought we would let it come out first so people knew what it was, because it's hard to describe it.
Well, one of your choral voices is my friend Carl St. Lucie.
Yes.
And they are an incredible composer. So
really?
Yeah, so I'm going to just openly advocate for Carl St. Lucie.
We're wide open to pitches.
I love it. Well,
yeah, I mean, there's
they're already connected to the brand.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we would love other theatrical, non-theater people to think in these terms too. We have a dream that Kendrick Lamar would write his first musical, or Janelle Monáe, or Juliana Newsom. People who have that theatrical. Kate Bush.
Well, we saw all of these rock and rollers come through for the SpongeBob cast recording last year. Maybe you can go to like John Legend or
I mean they don't always know the time commitment. The musical does.
Well,
take
you
a
never know.
long time.
You can only ask.
Yeah, it's probably better for someone that is not fully touring right now.
So who's your number one?
Act.
We'll just not.
I think Kendrick would be
okay, because I was going to say maybe
one.
Beyonce, but.
Well, she doesn't always write her own stuff.
Uh-huh.
She would be great to be in it.
Yeah.
To maybe help write it. But I'm thinking of those people who write their own stuff, like Janelle, Kendrick, Connor Oberst.
Oh yeah.
Right, who I did one of his videos. There's wonderful what we some people call heritage acts, but are really just classic people. Obviously. Elton John would be great.
Maybe it's time for The Who to write another musical.
Yeah. I mean, there's 2 of them left.
Yep.
But that'd be wonderful. They don't, Sting has written a musical. People don't always know the time commitment. That's always the hard thing. They might be giants, would be great. I'm thinking of people who are just very theatrical, you know.
Well, we only have a couple minutes left.
Okay.
You're a very busy guy. But I always end every episode by talking about, I say we do one last segment just because. And that's a play on words because I think you don't need a reason to talk about a just cause. So I am eager to hear about a charity that's important in your life so we can encourage people to donate and become more aware.
Well, my favorite charity is Ali Forney, which provides resources for queer youth at risk, and they have, you can stay there if you're homeless for a while, a temporary time. That there's resources for getting, government assistance and health care.
Do you know they serve over 70,000 meals a year to at-risk queer youth?
It's amazing.
And all of our interns here at DNR Studios come through the Ali Forney.
How did that happen?
Because Derek and Romaine, who are the DNR of the title, they hosted a radio show on OutQ, the gay channel at SiriusXM, for like 15 years, and they became benefactors of the Ali Forney Center. And so when they launched this company, they wanted to give back in a way that was more than just providing promotion, but actually opportunities for the youth that came through in real-world job
That's so smart.
and every intern is paid, so we contribute to their living costs and hopefully helping them get out of the housing that the center provides to create room for more homeless queer youth.
Yeah, I've known kids too who credit, California for getting them through that rough patch, and I also they're my recipient for the Smile Amazon. You can choose your charity, and a little bit of every purchase goes to your favorite charity.
I think you can also sell things on eBay and donate a portion to the charity of choice, and I'm sure that Ali Forney is on there as well.
Yeah, Hedwig Martin's someone that we've helped a lot with Hedwig over the years too, so they do good work.
Well, I'm delighted that that's the charity that you chose. I am going to make a donation in your honor as a thank you for coming on the show. My goal is always to have, if everyone listening made a small donation, the drops in the bucket would add up to a big ocean full of help. Yeah. And so I try to lead the way by making a donation on behalf of every guest on Laura Heywood Interviews. And if every listener did the same thing, twice a week, put $5, $10 towards the cause, we could really make a big difference.
That's amazing.
And I love that that's always been a part of your go-to as an artist as well. Yeah. You're certainly an activist in everything you do, and I'm thrilled to have met you and finally been able to sit down with you.
Yeah.
Thank you, John Cameron Mitchell.
Secret Garden?
Of course I do. We'll have to get together on a different day when you have more time and we can reminisce about all of that. Congratulations on Anthem Homunculus.
And watch Shrill on Hulu, which is a really great show starring Edie Bryant that I'm on. We're going into our second season.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, John Cameron Mitchell. I adore you.
Thank you.